In a quiet village called Ahenkro, surrounded by tall palm trees and red earth paths, there was a river that everyone depended on. It watered their farms. It cooled their skin under the harsh sun. It gave them life, but it also carried a warning. From the youngest child to the oldest elder, everyone in Ahenkro knew the rule: never answer when the river calls your name at night. No one could say exactly when the warning began. The elders only said the river was older than the village, older than memory itself, and that it was not just water. It was something that listened. Most people obeyed the rule without question. After all, it was easy to ignore a story when nothing had ever happened, until the night Kojo heard it. Kojo was a young man, strong and curious, with a quiet confidence that often made him dismiss the fears of others. He had grown up hearing the stories, but he never truly believed them. To him, the river was just a river. That night, the village was still. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a pale glow over the rooftops. Kojo lay on his mat, staring into the darkness, listening to the distant sound of insects and the soft rustle of leaves. And then he heard it. Kojo. His body stiffened. The voice was faint, almost like the wind. He sat up slowly, his eyes scanning the shadows. There was no one there. He held his breath, waiting. Nothing. After a while, he lay back down, convincing himself it had been his imagination. But the next night, it came again. Kojo. This time it was clearer, closer. Kojo sat up again, his heart beginning to race. The voice was familiar in a way he could not explain. It felt warm, almost comforting. Then it struck him. It sounded like his mother. His mother had died years ago, but the voice carried the same softness, the same tone she used when calling him home as a child. For a moment he almost answered, but something deep inside him resisted. The elder's warning echoed in his mind. Never answer. So he remained silent. The voice lingered for a few seconds, then faded into the night. By morning, the village had changed. One of the hunters was gone. His hut was empty, his tools untouched. There were no signs of struggle, no footprints leading away. It was as if he had simply vanished. At first, people whispered, then they worried. By the next day, fear had begun to spread, because it happened again and again. Each morning, someone new was missing. No one saw them leave. No one heard a cry for help. The only thing the villagers shared was the silence of the night. No one wanted to say it out loud, but deep down, they all knew. The river had begun to call. Kojo could no longer ignore it. The voice had come to him twice, and now people were disappearing. He went to the elders, his usual confidence replaced by unease. "This is not a story," he said. "Something is happening." The elders looked at one another, their faces heavy with the weight of something long buried. Finally, the oldest among them spoke. "The river does not take bodies," he said slowly. "It takes names." Kojo frowned. "What does that mean?" The old man's eyes darkened. "When the river calls you, and you answer, you give it your name. And without your name," he paused, letting the words settle, "you are nothing." A chill ran through Kojo's body. "Then where do they go?" he asked. The elder shook his head. "Nowhere we can follow." Silence filled the air. Kojo swallowed hard. "How do we stop it?" The old man hesitated before answering. "There is only one way," he said. "Someone must enter the river and refuse to answer when it calls." Kojo stared at him. "That's all." The elder's voice grew quieter. You will hear the voices of those you love. They will sound real. They will beg you to respond. If you answer, even once, the river will take you. The weight of the task settled over everyone present. No one spoke. No one volunteered, because they all understood. This was not just bravery. It was a battle against your own heart. Kojo looked around at the frightened faces of his people, the empty spaces left behind by those who had vanished, the growing fear that was slowly destroying the village. Then he stepped forward. I will go. That night, the village gathered at a distance, watching in silence as Kojo walked toward the river. The moonlight reflected off the water, but something about it felt wrong. The surface shimmered faintly, as if something beneath it was alive, waiting. Kojo took a deep breath and stepped in. The moment his feet touched the water, the world around him changed. The river was no longer water. It was something else entirely. Darkness surrounded him, yet he could see. The air felt thick, heavy, as though it carried voices within it. Then they began. Whispers. Soft at first, barely noticeable. Kojo. He clenched his fists. More voices followed. Kojo! They came from all directions, overlapping, echoing, pulling at him. His heart pounded in his chest. And then he saw her, his mother. She stood before him just as he remembered her. Warm eyes, gentle smile. Kojo, she said softly, reaching out to him. My son. It's me. His breath caught. Everything inside him broke at once. He had missed her for so long, dreamed of hearing her voice again, of seeing her face. Now she was here, real, close enough to touch. Kojo, she whispered again, her voice filled with love. Answer me. His lips trembled. Tears filled his eyes. He opened his mouth, then stopped. The warning, the truth. This was not his mother. It was the river. The voices grew louder. Friends called his name, neighbors. Even his own voice joined in, echoing through the darkness. Oi, Kojo! The sound pressed against him, demanding, overwhelming. His body shook. Every instinct screamed at him to respond. But slowly, painfully, he shook his head. I am no one, he whispered. For a moment, everything went still. Then the river screamed. The voices shattered into chaos. The image of his mother twisted and dissolved. The darkness cracked like breaking glass. A surge of energy rushed through the water. And then, silence. The river returned to normal. By morning, the village was alive with relief. No one had disappeared. The curse was broken. Kojo had saved them. They ran to him, calling his name, praising his bravery, celebrating his return. Kojo! They shouted. Kojo! But he did not respond. He only looked at them, confused, empty. Because in the moment he rejected the river. He had also let go of the one thing it needed to claim him, his name. And without it, he no longer knew who he was. Even now, in places where rivers flow quietly under the moonlight, the elders still warn their children. Never answer when you hear your name at night, because some voices are not calling you home. They are calling you away.